Hey everyone, welcome to Hack Shack Studios. It's the 31st. It's the creepiest day of the year. That's Halloweeny. Um, yeah, Art the Victim T-Bear. I will explain that. If you are fans of mine and my YouTube channel, then you know what's coming. True life creepy stories. Yeah, I'm not making stuff up. I'm going to tell you a story. It really did happen, and it's absolutely creepy. And I could have been a statistic. I could have been a statistic. So I'm going to wait for StreamYard to catch up, see if there's a sign of life. I know everybody's got their Halloween stuff, so anybody I can get in to hang out and listen to a Halloween story, I am grateful for. So hope everybody's good. I hope everybody is not too busy getting ready for Halloween. COVID, I think, has kind of put a little bit of a nix in things. So, man, it's really taken a while for my StreamYard to catch up. Hold on, let me click this. Yeah, it's all active. That's weird. So, there we go. Finally, we got the smiling bandito. Hell and well met. Bob Gable, how are you? Hey, what's up, brother? Happy Halloweener to you guys. Howdy, Art. Well met indeed. Billy Ray Trojan. Got Chrono Mechanics yesterday. Thank you. Yes. We're finishing him up right now. So Chrono Mechanics is in fulfillment. Most of the books have already gone out. So we just have maybe a couple carloads worth of books left, which means probably about 150, maybe less books still. And those will go out within the next couple days. So then we should be done with Chrono Mechanics. So thank you guys so much for your patience on Chrono Mechanics. We do appreciate it. And those books are going out. So I know Pamela dropped off a bunch of them yesterday. So I believe she's been getting stuff out every day. So this weekend, very, very busy. We're selling the house. I know I've talked about that. You talk about horror story. Holy shit. So today I have an hour and a half of a window that I have my home. So when you sell a house, you have to make it available for viewings, right? For people to come and look at your house. With COVID now, it's not like you have like weekends and you have open house and stuff like that. People have to schedule, and apparently they can schedule hours before, they want to take the tour. So my agent has been putting pressure. He's like, you got to make yourself more available. Got to make yourself more available. You're going to miss out on, potential clients. And so I was like, no, dude, I got to set some parameters here. So I set Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So he gets me 5 days a week. And I need 24 hours notice because I need to work, man. I work out of the house. I can't be gone all the time. So yeah, it's been a little chaotic here. We do have a killer offer. We are at the crest of what they say is a bidding war. So we're already getting more than the asking price, which is really, really good. And we're trying to close some deals in Texas right now. And we'll probably be taking our Texas trip. Not next week, but the following week. So yeah, I'm all black and white. I'm in my story mode. So I'm going to tell you guys a story of yesterday, of yesteryear, and it will tie into Halloween, and it is pretty damn scary and it's pretty spooky. No. Okay. Art in black and white, I dig it. Yeah. So this is to set the mood. Okay, so the kids, my daughter and her boyfriend Earl are downstairs carving. They're carving mini pumpkins. We're gonna carve pumpkins later tonight around 6 o'clock after the last viewing because we would not want to miss out on that. We didn't get to kind of decorate. We usually have the T-Bear family plot out in front, and we have a bunch of really cool homemade headstones that we put out there and creep up the house real good for the kids. So I'm not sure really even what to expect tonight, to be honest, with the trick-or-treaters and all that. But we are going to be open to them nonetheless. So any kids that are brave enough with their COVID outfits will get a giant size Snickers bar. We got giant size this year. So anyway, so I think we got enough people in for the story. So come in. I gotta tell. So the story, this better be spooky. It's gonna be more creepy. Well, it depends. Spooky, creepy. No means no. Yeah, and it did. So this is around 77, 78, around there. So I had a friend named Phil Solis. He's still a friend. And it's weird when you grow up and you like comic books and certain like sci-fi things. It narrows kind of like in the day, it would narrow your friendship. You know, like I had friends that were in sports and stuff like that too. But you know, it kind of narrows, like there's not a lot of kids that are into comic books and sci-fi. So when you find those kids in school, you kind of like latch onto them. And so Phil was that kid, but he was also really, really ambitious. And he was kind of a behind the scenes guy like me. So he wasn't just like, oh, I'm a fan of this stuff. He was that as well, but he liked to do things. So he liked Disney, like Disneyland. So, you know, he was really into like how to build stuff, and his brother was an electrician, so we would build like little robots, and you know, we tried our own, you know, kind of audio animatronic stuff, and you know, we did things like that. And so when Spielberg came out and Lucas came out, you know, Star Wars and you know, Jaws and all those early Spielberg films, we lost our mind. We were really, really into that. And so then our focus went from the Disneyland stuff and that into more like film. So we started kind of studying film together and things like that. So he had a friend. He had a friend that was more accomplished. He was older than we were, and he made movies. He made little Super 8 movies. And so we were like, cool, this guy's way beyond where we're at. So we started hanging out with this guy. And so his name, I don't know how to tell the story. I don't know if I want to be right up front with it, but people that have, like I said, fans of the show, they've heard me talk about this stuff. So anyway, I think I'm going to leave the reveal. So we go to this guy's house, right? And I think it was in the general area. It wasn't like we grew up in LA County, so it was LA County. I don't know if it was Whittier or Linwood. It was one of those areas, but we weren't old enough to drive yet. So I remember Philip's mom was always really supportive. And so she drove us to this guy's house, right? So we pull up to the guy's house, and nice house, nicer than anything, you know, we lived in. So he seemed rich to us. And also there was a pool in the backyard. So we're like, ooh, this guy's successful. His family is like rich. And they weren't, but so we get there, and I'm walking up to the door, and there's a little hatchback, like Datsun or whatever. And I look in the back of this car, and there's a bunch of gallon jugs, and they have red fluid in them. And there's a bunch of them. So I was like, this is odd. This is odd. But, you know, it's whatever. So then we went up, knocked on the door. Really nice mom. This guy's mom was sweet. She's like, come in, you know, and can I make you, you know, lunch? It was around lunchtime. So she's going to make us sandwiches. And like, I don't remember if she did or not, but then this guy comes out, and he's the guy we're gonna assist him. We're like going to be his film assistants. So we're going to be gophers, gaffers, whatever, you know, whatever it takes, because we just want to get in, you know, see how these movies are made. And so he was making a Jaws-like movie. So it was a shark attack movie. So I don't really remember getting too much into story or anything like that. Like I said, this guy was older, and I had recognized him. There was Cerritos Mall. There's a place called Cerritos Mall, and in the day, in the 70s, late 70s, it was like the happening place. And so there was a toy store, and in the day, I feel so old. There was a guy on the weekend that would sell magic tricks. So they had like a little display, like a glass, display case, and he would do magic tricks and stuff like that. So it was that guy. So I recognized this guy from that. And so he was a magician, and he worked at the toy store, and he moved magic tricks, I guess that was the thing. And so he's like, yeah, come on in. And so we went into his bedroom, and I'm looking around, and there's creepy shit everywhere. It's like there's headstones, and there's spiders and skulls, and there was a coffin, a real coffin. It wasn't like a prop. It was a real coffin, and it was leaned against the wall. It wasn't laying. It was leaning like vampires, I guess. And so I said, "There's a coffin in your room. What are you doing that?" And he's like, "I sleep in it." So I'm used to growing up. I'm pretty desensitized. I'm not like picking up on anything. Like, it's a little weird, but it's not enough to like be a deal breaker, right? So I'm still like, I'm in the game. I'm still like, all right, he's a little weird, a little eccentric. He's got a coffin in his room. So he was also that, like I said, he was a magician, and so those people are always weird and creepy anyways, I always think. So he's like, so this is what you guys will be doing. You'll be assisting me. We're going to go on shoots and all this other stuff. And so then we go into the backyard, and I think he showed us a little clip of like his shark attack stuff. And he was filming in his pool. So he had like a prop shark, and then he had a bigger like mouth and stuff like that. So it was just kind of sensationalized stuff. So it was like friends of his going into the pool, and then getting attacked by sharks. So still kind of cool, still kind of impressive. I was probably, so this was 77, 78, somewhere around there. So I was probably 15, 16, maybe. And Phil was the same age. And so we're like, yeah, cool. So we go in the backyard, and we see where he's going to be filming. And this is like the shark and, all this other stuff. So he's basically just kind of prepping us, like seeing like if we would be good assistants or whatever. So I guess it was like the interview. And so then it's a long driveway. The garage was open, and in the garage was a container. It's kind of like when you like old kegger parties, you'd put the keg in it, or you would put beer, like a bunch of ice in it, and you put beer in it. And so it was like that. And it had a towel over it, like a beach towel. And so he was just like, hey, Art, like I guess he's testing us, like, to see if we can start doing things for him. So he's kind of barking out orders, like, Phil, go do this. He's, Art, go over, and I just need you to take the towel off the top of this container, this bucket. And so I'm not stupid, and I'm like, he's setting me up for something. And I go, well, why don't you do it? And he's like, oh, well, you got to start doing stuff like this if you're going to help me out. So I'm already like, there's something about this. It's like the guy that has you want a nut? You want a peanut? You twist it off, and like the snake flies out of it on the spring, right? It's that kind of shit. And I'm like, this is what this is. It feels like a setup. So I look at Phil. I'm like, he's like, just do it. So I walk over, and I take the blanket off, or the towel, and there's a severed head, and it's floating in blood. And it's obviously, it's not real. And so I was like, oh, okay. And then he's like creeping out. Like, this guy is just like, like he's getting off on it. I didn't give him anything emotionally, but he's just kind of like the setup of like, ooh, I can't wait to see what this, the reaction of this is. So he was basically trying to just see like what my reaction would be to seeing this gore, right? And so then I'm like, this guy's a weirdo, right? I mean, we're making horror films. Let's be professional. Let's just, get in and out. But like, if you're trying to like creep us out or whatever, this is really weird. So, excuse me, I don't remember what we did after that, but but we put in our time. We hung out with this guy, excuse me, and also he would do like Halloween, like he went above and beyond because he was a local guy or whatever. So I remember too, like he had a reputation of like he would do these like spooky mazes in front of his house. So he would actually build, because I remember seeing it, he would build these big like wooden, and he'd had plastic bags along the side. And I guess you would just walk through it and there would be like creepy stuff that would happen to you. And so he used to do that. So I remember him from that as well. So he was somewhat known, you know, in the neighborhood and kids and stuff and things like that. So I think this was probably the weekend. So I go to school, you know, Monday, and I'm talking to just my friends. And so this one guy, he was a little older than me, and I was telling him about this guy. He makes film and all these other things. He goes, "Yeah, I know that guy." And this guy that I'm talking about, he wasn't in high school or anything anymore. I was still in high school. And so I go, "Really? You know this guy?" He goes, "Yeah, yeah. He makes films, and I helped him out in one of his films." I go, "Oh, what did you do?" He said, "I did whatever. I did kind of like I could get my dad's car." He got his dad's car, and he was like driving, running some guy down or something like that. And so that was the scene. So it was an action scene or whatever it was. And so he said, "You know, I got my dad's car and I drove it and I did what he asked." And then he said, he took me aside. He goes, "You know what would make the scene a lot better? If you crash the car and you just crashed it into a wall or something." And the guy's like, "I can't crash this car. You know, this is weird. Like, this is my dad's car. I can't do that. It's not a reasonable request." And so he was like, "That dude was really weird." And so I was like, "Yeah, that guy was weird." And then I shared my story that I just shared with you guys. I was like, "Yeah, it was really weird." And so so that was like the end. That was the end of it. Like the guy creeped me out to the point where I didn't go back. I never helped him out on the films. I never did any of those things. So I remember Phil did, but I did not. And so then this is years later. Okay, I'm graduated, and I guess it's probably early 80s. So I have my own apartment and things like that. So I'm listening to the news, and they're talking about this freeway killer, right? And so that I had heard about that, you know, prior, because it was going on. So it's a serial killer type of situation, and it was this guy William Bonan, and local guy. And so if you don't know what the freeway killer is, he was a guy that would go get young boys, usually get them in a van, and he would, you know what, I got a Wikipedia. Let's see what this guy, let's get it right from the horse's mouth. Okay, so this should be you should be seeing the William Bonan. Yeah. Okay, so this is William George Bonan. And so also known as the Freeway Killer, was an American serial killer and twice paroled sex offender who committed the rape, torture, and murder of a minimum of 21 boys and young men in a series of killings in 79 and 80. Think about that date, okay? Think about it, okay? In Southern California. Bonan is also suspected of committing a further 15 murders described by the prosecutor at his first trial as the most arch-evil person who ever existed. Bonan was convicted of 14 of the murders linked to the freeway killer in two separate trials in 82, 83. He spent 14 years on death row before he was executed by lethal injection at San Quentin State Prison in 96. So I think you guys are starting to see where this story is going. Bonan became known as the freeway killer due to the fact that the majority of his victims' bodies were discovered alongside numerous freeways in Southern California. He shared his epitaph, is that right, with two separate and unrelated serial killers, Patrick Kearney and Randy Kraft. So those guys were also labeled freeway killer. But this is Bonan. This is the one that was in my area. Okay, so but this kind of gets into his backstory. First convictions, further offense and imprisonment, acquittance. Okay, here we go. Okay. All right. So this guy had an assistant. He had several, actually. And one of these guys, his name was Vernon Butts. Vernon Butts was the guy I met. He was the guy. Oh my gosh. He was the guy that was making these films. He was the crazy guy that's creeped me out. Hold on, I had to take a drink. That, I had met. So upon his release, Bonan moved to an apartment complex in Downey. These are all close to where I live. I lived, my parents' house, approximately 1 mile from his mother's home. His mother's home, and soon found employment as a truck driver. Dependable driveway. He also established a reputation among teenage boys in his neighborhood as a gregarious individual who allowed them to socialize in his apartment. So this is a little bit after I met him, but that's what he was doing. He was grooming kids my age. That's why I put the victim, because I was definitely being groomed to be one of these guys. Okay, so in addition, Bonan dated a young woman whom he informed acquaintance with. He regularly accompanied to Anaheim on Sundays to partake in her hobby of roller skating. Ooh, sounds adorable. How could this guy be a bad dude? Shortly after moving to his apartment, Bonan became acquainted with 43-year-old neighbor named Everett Frazier. Bonan became a regular attendee of frequent parties Frazier held in his apartment, and through these social gatherings, he became acquainted with a 21-year-old named Vernon Butts and an 18-year-old named Gregory Miley. Butts, a porcelain factory worker and part-time magician. Okay, this is starting to work out. The math is crazy. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm getting excited. This is crazy. I still can't believe this shit happened. Okay, magician who held a fascination with occultism. Later claimed also actively participated in the murders he accompanied Bonan upon. Holy shitballs. Okay, so here's Vernon Robert Butts, Linwood, California. So this is all really, really close. Burial, Rose Hills, Whittier. That's where my first apartment was at, Whittier, California. And so an accomplice in at least 6 murders with William George Bonan, the freeway killer, on January 11th, after telling police of Bonan's hypnotic control, Vernon Butts hanged himself in his cell, finally successful in the 5th suicide attempt since arrested. Let me read. Oh, that's all. That's all. There's got to be. Oh, I had one that had more. So what? I'll just come back. I can elaborate because I'm pretty familiar with this story. Holy shit, you guys, this is crazy. Tweet this stuff out, man. This is entertainment. Yeah, please tweet it out. Let's get some eyes on this. And so what, I think there was 6 murders that Vernon Butts actually committed, they said. So he didn't just assist William Bonan, he actually did some killing himself. So they had a van, and so what is it? Okay, the 2nd generation Ford Ecoline van Bonan drove an olive model van when committing his abductions. So what Vernon would do, and I think there were 2 other guys, they would basically groom and they would find these guys that they would they would basically see if they were gullible, I guess, enough to get in a van with this William Bonan. So those guys assisted William Bonan in abducting these young boys. And I remember I read something before, and those young boys, they were the age that I was. So I was definitely right in that window as far as age, and then just like trying to groom somebody. I always thought, like, I have gotten contact with Philip since. I was like, oh my gosh, because Philip actually hung out with Vernon a lot longer. I only hung out with him that one time, and I was completely creeped out. So I didn't hang out there afterwards. But yeah, so yeah, I was just hanging out in, I guess, early 80s, like I said, and I hear the news come on, and it's like Vernon Butts, is standing trial for the murder of whatever, and assisting William Bonan in the freeway killer stuff. And also, you guys, this is all local. So we had a serial killer in our area. So everybody knew about this stuff. You know what I mean? Because it was all happening in our area. So they were dumped the same freeways, like the 91, 605. I should have found it, but yeah, there's more information I read somewhere where they talk about the freeways and everything. But it was all the communities, it was all the freeways, it was all my general area. And also, what was the guy's name? He broke into houses, apartments and stuff, and he would kill people. Wow, my area was full of these guys. That guy, what was it, the son of Sam? I forget what his thing was, but he broke into an apartment next to my apartment, and God, he thought he was Satan or something. I can't remember the guy's name, but that was a few years later too. So that was kind of in the same timeline. So we had two serial killers close back to back in California. California is really, I mean, even what's his name, Charlie Manson, all this shit, man, it's crazy. It wasn't Ted Bundy. It was before Bundy's time. Richard Ramirez. Yes. Thank you. That dude was psycho. That guy was crazy. And my favorite thing was that somebody on the street, Good Samaritans, man, people sometimes, man, you got a Night Stalker. Yes, it was the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. Yeah. And so I think like some people recognized him because there was a drawing or something like that they had of him, and they saw him, and they just pummeled him. Like, they found him and they pummeled him, and they called the police, and it was awesome. Like, who knows how many people he would have killed after that, but they saw him and they didn't hesitate. Nowadays, like, people would just videotape it and they go, oh, well, I think that's that guy. And then they would post it up. No, man, they grabbed him, they beat him up, and they called the cops, and he was beat up really bad from what I remember. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. I think the Night Stalker and the freeway killer were really close together. So it was late 70s, early 80s, I think. So he was a doorknob salesman. Yeah, can I interest you in a shiny brass knob? Yeah, so this happened, man. This really happened. And it's funny because, when things like that happen, I didn't even think about it at the time. So as soon as I stopped hanging out with that Vernon guy, it just went right out of my head. So I didn't think about it, until that news report. So I'm just watching TV, and then they're talking about Vernon Butts, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's that dude. That's that guy. It's Kolchak the Night. I used to love that show, man. No, they called Richard Ramirez the Night Stalker. And he would break into people's houses and he would kill them in their sleep. It was horrible. So Jason, my fellow pontificator, says, my father and best friend were murdered in the 90s. It's crazy. Were they murdered by a serial killer? or was it just an unfortunate, like just a guy breaking into their house? This shit does happen, man. It was crazy though. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So that's my creepy Halloween story. So I hope I'm getting better at telling the story. Like I said, I told it last year, and I think I might have told it the year before. So yeah, Vernon Butts. I wonder if anybody has any like film on him, like if any of his movies have. I'm gonna type it in. I'm gonna see if there's anything else like. Because it would be interesting if somebody had like some of his Super 8 films or anything like that. Vernon Robert Butts, I'm going to say film, or no, I should say home made movies. See if there's anything else. Vernon Butts, who confessed to taking part. Oh, that's right too. Let me see. Maybe this is UPI. Vernon Butts, who confessed to taking part in. I think that he also rolled over on William Bonan, if I'm not mistaken. So let me see here. Get some more information for you guys, because I always forget. I think this is it. Vernon Butts, 23, states key witness. Yeah, he was a key witness against William Bonan, accused of masterminding and torturing sex slayings, was found hanging from a towel rack in a one-man hospital room cell, sheriff officers say. The towel had been twisted around his neck the same manner that many of the freeway killer victims were strangled with their own T-shirts. Sheriff officer said Butts did this to himself while in a kneeling position before the towel rack. Man, you got to want to die that way, because that seems like a voluntary way. Like if you're hanging and you can't touch the floor or whatever, you can't really save yourself. But if you're kind of in a kneeling position, you could actually save yourself. So this guy must have really wanted to die. Butts' attorney, Joe Inger, said he doubted that Butts killed himself, but did not offer an alternative theory on how he died. Inger described the suspect as up after a recent court hearing, really up, and not depressed about the release of his 1980 confession. Why would you be up? You're being tried for murder. You did some heinous shit. Like, I don't know. That whole thing sounds a little wishy-washy. Inger said he had been complaining to authorities that Butt was not completely isolated from the other prisoners. I've been complaining that nobody should have contact with Butts, especially Bonan, he said. People, other inmates, were threatening him, especially in jail bus from Los Angeles to Orange County. People were jiving him, saying, "You don't look so tough." He was afraid of these people. Yeah, well, he should be. Those guys were freaking molesting children and then killing them. Yeah, I think even, hard criminals don't like people that do that to underage kids. Sheriff officer said Butts was locked alone in cell, isolated from other inmates, and was last checked by deputy 40 minutes before the body was found hanging from a towel rack. Butts had confessed. How long was that towel? It must have been a pretty good sized towel to wrap around your neck and a towel rack. Some of this does sound a little suspect. Butts had confessed in taking part in some of the killings and had been arraigned on 6 counts of murder. His confession, recorded 1980, shortly after his arrest, was unsealed and released last Thursday. The confession tied Bonan to truck driver 21, a truck driver to 21 murders. Holy shit. He said Bonan had kind of a hypnotic way which coerced him to assisting in the killings. That dude was already creepy. He was already grooming kids, man. Yeah, I think Butts was already in line with this dude. Butts said that he would drive Bonan's van while Bonan oh my God, tortured the victims and then killed them in the back of the vehicle. Holy shit. Yeah, you got to be wired a certain way, man. That's not normal. Bonan, who was on parole when many of the youths were slain, was called the most arch-evil person who ever existed and most dangerous than mass murderer Charles Manson. Well, Charles Manson wasn't a mass murderer. He never committed any murder, but he was very charismatic and got other people to do it. By deputy district attorney during the Superior Court hearing. He is scarier because he was hands-on, man. 21 murders. I think he was convicted on 14 of those murders, and they suspected that he murdered more. Helped prosecute Manson. Oh wait, I should have read that name. So this Aaron Stolvitz, he actually helped prosecute Manson in 1970. Wow, this is all within a decade, you guys. There's 3 major serial killers all in the same area pretty much, all within a 10-year period. So there's Manson, there's this William Bonan and Vernon Butts, and then what's his name? The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. Bonan has pleaded innocent to charges of murder, robbery, sodomy, and mayhem. Butts had not entered a plea, and officials said his confession would not be admissible in court. Butts said most of the victims were strangled with their own T-shirts, but some were attacked with a variety of butcher, buck, and steak knives. Oh, my God. And one was killed with an ice pick through his ear. Oh my God. Bonan was scheduled for trial May 4th on 14 counts. Yeah, so there were 21 murders, but I think they only pinned him on 14. Butts was to be tried July 27th on 6 counts of murder. So I wonder if that's 6 of those 14. Bonan was charged with only 14 homicides, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So if Vernon Butts killed 6, so that added to that 14, that's only 20. So I don't know if that 6 murders that Butts did was on top of the 14, which would bring that up to that 20, 21. Or how they figured that out, or if he murdered 6 of those 14 people. It's not real clear. Bonan was charged with only with 14 homicides within Los Angeles County jurisdiction, but authorities said he was accused of 21 murders and could face prosecution. Oh, in Orange County, San Bernardino, Riverside, and Kern counties. Also, 3 other young men have been charged with committing other individual murders with Bonan. Yeah, he had assistants. Nuts, man. It's absolutely crazy. So, holy crap, man. Yeah, that was my brush with a serial killer. Oh, I'm glad I came back. Let's see. Michael, thank you so much for the super chat. Arthur, cannot wait for your book, UK Damage is Rare. Oh, good. I'm glad that, yeah, we packed the hell out of these books, you guys. So they should come undamaged. I heard that the UK, I think Charlize London was saying that the UK is doing some shenanigans as far as opening people's mail and things like that. And we had 2 of the black and white Killer Bot posters sent back from the UK. And they were opened. One of them was opened. They pulled the poster out and then tried to shove the poster back, and it shipped back to us. with half the poster in, half the poster out of the tube, and then one of the tubes was completely empty. So I don't know why they spent that much time, even sending them back. Oh man, Comic Book Bob is in the chat. I don't know where. I haven't been following. Oh, what is this? A few. Here's the article about my friend. Investigation, discovery, crime feed, murder. Convicted of her husband's murder 10 years after his death. So you knew that person? That's nuts. That's nuts. Hey, Bob. Oh, wait. Before I say this, I got to get out of here. Yeah, I was going to say get Bob in here and let him tell a story, which would be cool, but I only have like 15 minutes. I got to get out of here for my next viewing. We got people coming in. Like I said, we're selling the house. So, yeah. It does seem suspect, right? Not even hotel towels are that long. Like it would have to be like a beach towel, and you're like a whole body towel. And even that would be hard to wrap around your neck, tie into a knot, and then hook it to a rack, and then have enough to hang from. And also, I don't know about you guys, but maybe gel cell racks are industrial strength, but every towel rack I've ever seen would not hold up to somebody's body weight hanging from it. So it does sound a little suspect. So let's see what Jason says. A couple of my cousins 20 years ago, when they were 12 years old, killed a man in the woods of Kentucky only to see what would happen. You have relatives that killed somebody? Holy shit. I had some creepy neighbor kids. They had a tree house, and I swear the older brother was molesting the two younger sisters. There was some weird shit going on, man. But I was really, really young at the time, and I used to beat that kid up all the time. He was an asshole. So he would always pick fights. There was a girl on the street, and I kind of had a little bit of a crush on, but she was also a tomboy. So she hung out with us, and he'd pick on her. So I'd beat him up. I beat him up all the time. So yeah, a lot of creepy people. Oh, was this one before the other one? I'm sorry. Well done, Image. Bought all of yours. Forward is now Indiegogo, I hope. Well done, Image. Bought all of yours. In the Image days? Oh, well, thank you, man. Yeah, now Comicsgate is the way. Comicsgate's the big thing. Okay. Okay, so I read the other one. So thank you, Michael, for both the super chats. Sorry, I just went back in the chat and found the other one. So thank you so much. I do appreciate it. And here's another one. Thank you again. Are you going to do a serious book next? Intense with damaged art, scary. I don't know. I'm not a very serious-minded person, to be honest. I like to write fun action adventure stuff. So I don't know if I would ever write anything that was too intense or scary. Like I said, my brain doesn't even really do that. I like that type of entertainment, but I don't really think that way creatively. Art, come by my channel tonight. We're watching Reanimator. Oh, dude. Reanimator. Yeah, I might do that because I think I'm done with viewings around, I got my list, 5:15. So we're going to do some pumpkin carving, and maybe if I could take a break from the trick-or-treaters. Well, anyways, you guys, Bob is going to be watching Reanimator, and I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of creepy, fun comments because Reanimator is the ultimate in creep cheese fest. That is the cheesiest gore fest. It's 8 p.m. he says. Cool. Yeah, go by Bob's channel. Yeah, I'll see what I'm gonna be doing tonight, but you guys should all go check it out. So I'm going back in the chat, see if there's anything cool to go out on. Oh, your father's murder is unsolved? Oh my gosh, it's horrible. Make a comic of that stuff. I don't know, man. That's a little too close to home. If you're talking to Jason. Oh my gosh, you guys have man, if I would have known these stories, Bob and Jason, I would have had both of you guys on. Maybe next year for sure. We'll do like brush with creepy, realistic, real murders. I mean, if you guys want to share, because those were obviously loved ones and stuff. Mine, I didn't know anybody that was murdered, other than potentially it could have been me. It was funny because I was telling the story last year, and my daughter was in the studio here when I was telling it, and it didn't dawn on me. I must just be really naive, but it didn't dawn on me that I could have been groomed or was being groomed for this type of activity, when we were making the movies or, whatever with Vernon. And then when you think about it, go take the towel off the head, and he was getting all kind of off on it and stuff like that. I think, he was kind of figuring out what people's tolerance levels are, to gore or this really creepy stuff. Because if you were down with it or you were okay with it, you probably got the thumbs up from Vernon, and then Vernon would bring you over to William Bonan, and then, it would be all she wrote after that. So I just didn't really have too much of a tolerance for it. I'm a weird guy. I like weird things, but I like weird fun things. I don't like that type of shit. That guy didn't have a sense of humor, and you can tell people he was charismatic. Vernon was. I never met William, but he was also, there was an underlined, like, he wasn't funny, he wasn't fun, like just creepy, just scary. And I have a pretty good built-in mechanism, for that stuff. And so I stayed away. And who knows if I would have kept, helping that guy and became one of his dudes. Could have been a statistic. That's crazy. Hey, Leroy, you didn't have to, man. Thank you guys so much for the super chats. I appreciate it, man. It does mean a lot to me, but it's unnecessary. It means a lot. It means that, you guys don't just appreciate what I'm saying, but you go that extra step, so I really do appreciate. That was nice. And Michael, thank you, man. Cool Ice Cube. Yeah. So, let me see this one. All of Art's viewers are serial killers eyeing Art hungrily. Happy Halloween, Art. Yeah. No. That ship has sailed, man. It's weird though, because it's a real fine line, because my daughter Amanda likes creepy macabre, but she likes the edgy stuff, but she also likes the fun stuff. Like they're downstairs carving some pumpkins, and they're watching, Hocus Pocus. So she likes Nightmare Before Christmas, and she likes that stuff too. You know what I mean? So there is that kind of fun side to the scary or creepy or macabre. And then there's, I mean, I was a big horror movie fan in the day. Like, in my youth, I went to go see everything, including Reanimate. I remember seeing that at the drive-in, and just that type of stuff. So I do like it, and but she's working. There's a guy, a local guy, and he's a little bit of a legend, and he does one of those mazes. But this is beyond anything I've ever seen. Like he's got what is it, video mapping programs. So he's able to shine like cameras at houses and different things, and they're like all animated and move. and then he's got like robotics in there, and then he's got puppets and different people, and it's a maze that goes through the garage, like the front of the house, the garage, and then the backyard. And then he usually uses like movie themes. So the maze would be like after a certain, like movie or whatever, it would have that theme. I don't remember what this year's was. And so Amanda's helping him out this year. So she's a hand puppet that comes out of the wall or something, blah, and then comes back. So she's helping that guy. And I want to say his name, but I'm not. He's on the up and up. So I've hung out with him a couple times. He works with her. So, I kind of did the dad thing and screened him and hung out a couple times. And my wife likes him as well. So he's been over to the house and things like that. And he's the same age as Amanda as well. They went to school together. So, you know what I mean? There's a little bit of a background check there. He's not Vernon Butts, but it's weird because I do have that side of me now. Like when I see people that are like that, I'm like, is this guy, is he safe? Is he okay? It really, for me, there's a fine line there after meeting Vernon Butts and then seeing what that guy was all about. And it was weird because I never met his dad, but I met his mom, Vernon's mom, and she seemed very sweet. Like she was not just an average mom. She was like a sweet mom. Like, can I get you anything? Can I make you a sandwich? That type of mom. And so even with that, I didn't give the guy the benefit of the doubt, and I did not go back to his house. Hey, Art T. Bear, I just ordered an original art page from your website. How long does it take to ship those out? Well, right now, the T. Bear household is flipped upside down. It usually takes around 2 weeks, and I assume this is in the States. So all the artwork is packed up, which means we have to go through all that and find the page and then send it out to you. But thank you for purchasing, and I do know what you're talking about. So 2 weeks, and you know what? We'll probably be out of this house in a month. So it'll be, within 2 weeks, hopefully within that 2 weeks. So I think Pamela, my wife, is going to be done with fulfillment on Chrono Mechanics fairly soon. So I think then she multitasks a lot. So I don't know. I would give it 2 weeks before I got too worried about it. And she usually gives a heads up before the page ships. So you should get a heads up, Edwin, before. And if anybody wants original artwork, posters, prints, stuff like that, I do have a website. It's artbytbear.com. And there's 35 years of artwork there to choose from. So go check that out. It's a pretty cool site. Yeah. Question, what do you think of comics today? Oh my gosh, I could do a whole show on this. What do I think of comics today? I don't know. I mean, I haven't really read any new comics in years. I think the last book I read was it Mike Miller and what is his name? Oliver Copiel's, was it Magic or something like that? The Magic or something like that. I read that. So I think that was the last. And I wasn't conscious of it, but I stopped reading superhero comics pretty much altogether. One, they seemed like a lot of it was rehash. And two, I kind of stopped liking some of the agenda and some of the more adult themes that were going into the comics. I don't mind adult themes in comics as long as they're adult comics, like Vertigo, stuff like that, Elseworld stories. But Marvel Universe stuff or DC Universe stuff, I like it. I like it straightforward, simple. I don't like it too heady. So I don't know. Overall, I still like comics. I love them, but I'm a little bit more selective with the comics I buy. So I don't just go to the comic shop and just plop a bunch of money down and buy everything. Pretty selective. It's got to be pretty decent for me to, or it has to really interest me for me to buy. as far as the industry overall, I think that it is really changing. It is shifting. I think that Comicsgate, this business model, is one of the potential ways that people like myself are going to be able to survive. I think the mainstreams are really, really a big question mark right now, and I don't see the salvation coming from Marvel and DC, to be honest. I think people that are thinking outside the box, like myself, people in Comicsgate, I think we're moving in the right direction. And I'm real hopeful, though. I think that I've been doing this for a long time. I'm actually more inspired and more intrigued on what the future is going to be. So I'm really looking forward to what the industry is going to be and where things are going, going to go from here. I got to start wrapping things up. I got to get out of here so people can come by and look at our home. So let's see what Aaron says. Thanks, Art, for being a good father. A lot of men are just creepy. I try not to be. I try not to be. I can be creepy at times. Smart to be protective. Lots of weirdos out there these days. Yeah, well, your kids, your family. I think most men are that way. I at least hope so. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Michael. Very generous. Question, what do you think of comics today and what happened? Well, you guys are asking me a lot of questions about the same topic. Maybe I should do a show on this. So we talk about it a lot on pontificators, but maybe I could get more personal and I could talk about it, or maybe get some Comicsgaters in, and we could kind of get into the topic of just like, what do we think of the industry and possibly where it's going. So these are good suggestions, you guys. And thank you for the super chat. Another one, thank you, Michael. Comics are boring now. Not too much of a man is wrong and a woman's right. Yeah. Hollywood's been telling those stories for a long time. I think that it takes two. I think the difference between men and women is essential to the world. I think both points of view are valid. They're not always similar. I always think that the truth is somewhere in the middle of both points of view, especially the more extreme points of view. The truth is somewhere in the middle. So I think what's happening today in most things is everything is either or. Nobody is working together and nobody is respecting the other one's point of view. You don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with it, but you should at least be respectful towards it. And I just don't see that happening as much anymore. So I think you have extreme points of view, and also, like, if you're moderate or on the fence, kind of like I was, I think eventually you're going to get pulled in, like I was as well, to pick a side, to choose a side, because society doesn't seem like it's okay with you just being who you are anymore, or having your point of view. That might be more moderate, even though I still think of myself as somewhere in the middle, but I'm definitely more right-leaning these days. And I'm not sure. I think, like, I can be liberal-minded with certain things, and I can be more conservative with others. I think most people are like that. So I think just breaking things down in even more simplistic terms, like, are you conservative or are you progressive, I think is kind of for me personally, I think it's weird, because I think some people can be progressive and they can be conservative. I don't think everything is one thing or the other. Multiple things happen all the time. I think as humans, we want to categorize and we want to put things in a box because it's easier to digest. So it's easier to talk about. It's easier to figure out a point of view. A lot of things become easier if you can just consolidate things into I'm progressive, or I'm conservative, or I'm this religion, or I'm that religion, or whatever it is. I think it just becomes easier because life is daunting, man. There's a lot of shit out there. There's a lot of decisions we make every day. Oh my gosh, Michael, thank you. Yes, what has happened to comics? A debate on your show. Yeah. We'll do something, man. Thank you so much for the suggestions. You guys are always the best. I'm gonna read Dan, and then I'm gonna wish you guys a happy Halloweener, and then I'm gonna vacate my house. Just got Chrono yesterday. Love it. Yes, yes. I love black and white. Want more of both. Do you have to think about having to stick to a style? Once I'm entrenched, I'm there. You know what I mean? I think if I was doing them both at the same time, it'd be a little tougher. But I can do it. I've worked with multiple styles, you know, at the same time as an inker. You know, so I can do it. It's just a little tougher, and it takes a different kind of focus. But oh my gosh, I gotta go. Yeah, but I don't think I'm gonna do that anymore. Like have them cross over. So thank you guys so much. Have a happy Halloween. Be safe out there. Be kind to each other, and I'll see you soon, man. Take care.